right, we're going to work with conditional statements, also known as if-then statements. A conditional statement we can write using some symbols, P, an arrow pointing to Q, and we read it P, if P, then Q. And that is going to be a conditional statement. So let's give it a practice. We're given two statements. If it's St. Patrick's Day, that's our P statement. Q, it is March. So we're going to write a conditional statement, if P, then Q. And then we're going to determine the truth value. So we would take the statement, if P, if it is St. Patrick's Day, then Q, then it is March. So the truth value for this particular conditional statement is true, because both parts is true. If it's St. Patrick's Day, then it's March, because St. Patrick's Day only falls in the month of March. Now we're going to take a look at an inverse to a conditional statement. Inverse is if not P, then not Q. Both of those would have to be true for the inverse to be true. So we're going to write it and see if that is the case. So we have, if it is not St. Patrick's Day, then it is not March. Now, this is actually false, because if it's not St. Patrick's Day, then it is not March. March has many other days besides St. Patrick's Day. So just because it's not St. Patrick's Day, it does not mean that it is not March. So our truth value is false. Converse. The converse is if Q, then P. So we're switching the order. So let's take a look at that. If it is March, then it is St. Patrick's Day. So again, we're going to look to see if that is true, if both of them is true. If it is March, then it is St. Patrick's Day. So St. Patrick's Day is not the only day in March. So just because it's March does not mean that it is St. Patrick's Day. So our truth value is false. Contrapositive. Contrapositive would be if not Q, then not P. So we would take our statement and we would write it. If it is not March, then it is not St. Patrick's Day. So since St. Patrick's Day can only fall in March, and if it's not March, then it cannot be St. Patrick's Day, so our truth value is true. Biconditional statements. If we have a biconditional statement, the statement is going to have the words if and only if in it. In order to determine the truth value for a biconditional statement, two things must be true. First, the conditional statement must be true. So if P, then Q must be true. And the converse, if Q, then P must be true. If both of those are true, then the biconditional statement is true. So let's take a look at how that would work with our St. Patrick's Day. It would look something like this. It is St. Patrick's Day if and only if it is March. So the first thing that we have to do is we have to write it in P, if P, then Q form. So we would write if it is St. Patrick's Day, then it is March. Since we know St. Patrick's Day can only happen in March, the truth value is true. Now we're going to do if Q, then P. So if it is March, then it is St. Patrick's Day. But since there's more than one day in March, that means there are many days that are not St. Patrick's Day. So our truth value for that statement is false. So because both of them are not true, we would say the biconditional statement is false. Okay, so let's review this one more time. If we're looking for the biconditional statement, if it is St. Patrick's Day, then it is March. We said that was true. If it is March, then it is St. Patrick's Day. We said that was false, which makes our biconditional statement false. And now you've worked with conditional statements.